Hi, I'm Logan.
Hi, I'm Asher.
Thank you for joining us today. Let me start off with a simple question. Have you ever said something that made perfect sense to you, but confused someone else? Chances are cultural differences were at play. Today we're going to explore how different cultures communicate, not just through words, but through signs, body language, and social cues. By understanding these differences, we can become better listeners, speakers, and global citizens. Alright, first let's talk about high context and low context communication, a concept developed by anthropologist Edward T. Hall. But first, what are high context cultures and low context cultures? High context prioritize nonverbal conversation, situational factors, and implicit understanding over explicit words. They rely heavily on shared history, cultural norms, and impersonal relationships to convey meaning. Low context values direct and explicit communication, where the message is clear and straightforward, minimizing the need for interpreting the context. In high context cultures like Japan, China, and many Arab countries, communication relies heavily on the context, tone of voice, body language, and shared understanding. Words are often indirect because the meaning is between the lines. For example, in Japan, saying it might be difficult can actually mean no. On the other hand, in low context cultures such as the United States, Germany, and Scandinavian countries, communication is explicit. Words mean exactly what they say. If someone says no, they mean no. No reading between the lines is expected. This difference can create confusion. A direct no might seem rude to someone from a high context culture, while an indirect refusal might seem evasive to someone from a low context one. Now let's move to nonverbal communication, another key area where cultures diverge. Take eye contact, for instance. In the US and much of Europe, maintaining eye contact signals confidence and honesty, but in many Asian, African, and Latin American cultures, too much eye contact can be seen as aggressive or disrespectful. Gestures also vary. The thumbs up sign is positive in the West, but offensive in parts of the Middle East. Even nodding and shaking your head can mean different things. In Bulgaria and Greece, nodding can actually mean no. And there's personal space. North Americans tend to prefer a larger bubble, while people in Latin America and Middle Eastern cultures are comfortable standing much closer. Misreading these cues can lead to discomfort on both sides.
Alright, so let's talk about directness. In Germany and the Netherlands, direct speech is valued. Telling someone exactly what you think is seen as honest and efficient. Contrast that with cultures like the UK or Japan, where politeness often means softening criticism or wrapping it in humor, saying that's an interesting idea might actually mean I don't agree at all. Even small talk serves different purposes in the US. Casual conversation with strangers is seen as normal. In Finland, silence is golden and small talk might feel unnecessary or intrusive. So if you find someone unusually quiet, it might not be rude, it might just be their cultural style of communicating and thoughtfulness. So say, for example, I'm in the United States and I'm from Finland, but I'm visiting the United States. So if I were to walk into a building regularly, I would just be quiet, mind my own business, but someone from the US, he would come up.
Yo!
See, he would be doing small talk.
What's
He'd
up,
be
Flynn?
doing small talk.
How you doing, Flynn?
But for my
Oh,
culture, it would be unusual and rude for it to be small talk when I meet. But for cultures like him, the United States, it is regular for small talk to occur. Another factor is power distance and how cultures view authority from higher levels. In cultures with higher power distance, like India, Malaysia, or Mexico, communication also often follows strict hierarchy lines. Employees may hesitate to challenge or not do what their boss says for them to do. Regardless of how high the employee is, the boss normally in other cultures would be at the top and the employees would follow what they do. So say, even if I don't agree with what I have to do or don't like what I have to do, say he's my boss.
Yeah, I'm
If
your
he
boss.
tells me to do something, I will have to do it in certain cultures.
Exactly.
In cultures that have a hierarchy of levels where their boss,
like where
they
like, the levels of
respect their
respect by
authority by going off what they say. So even if I say like I don't agree with what my boss tells me to do and he's my boss, I will have to do it because it's regular for cultures to not disrespect the rank at top or above them.
And it could also potentially, in certain cultures, it actually could mean a great disrespect to your family name and could potentially cause you to be exiled from your own family in descent.
In contrast, low power, distant cultures like Australia and Denmark encourage open dialogue between all levels. It's acceptable even expected to challenge ideas regardless of the rank of the person you're challenging. Understanding this can be critical in international teamwork. A manager expecting open feedback from a multicultural team might be met with silence, not because people have nothing to say, but because their cultural norms discourage speaking up against the higher ranks. So what's the takeaway here? Culture shapes how we say things, and just as importantly, what we don't say. Words, silent gestures, and even space all carry meaning. By becoming aware of these differences, we can avoid misunderstandings and build more effective, respectful relationships across cultures. Next time you find yourself confused by someone's reaction, pause and consider maybe it's not what they said, but how they said it or didn't say it. That holds the key. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank y'all.